Welcome to the nuSpine Strength module. For this module, you will need a yoga mat, a towel or a pillow, and a chair. The purpose of this module is to begin to strengthen the muscles in our hip and pelvis surrounding our spine. There may be a few exercises in this module where you will be in a kneeling position. Make sure you add extra padding or support underneath your knees so that you're not placing any extra stress or strain on your knees as we're starting to work on our hips and our spine. For the first exercise in the nuSpine Strength module, we're going to grab a chair and place it behind our mat. Stand directly in front of our chair with our feet shoulder width apart, and we're going to complete a squat matrix. So sit down, pushing your hips back until you touch the chair, and then stand up. Notice that David is using his hands for support, while Trisha is bringing her arms in front of her body to increase the demand of her hips. Lower yourself slowly to the chair, and then lift yourself back up. All the way down, tap, and then come to a standing position. Bring your right foot 6 inches forward for a staggered squat. Keep your weight evenly distributed between your right and your left leg and complete the same movements. Lower yourself slowly to the chair, tap your hip to the chair, and then come up. All the way down, and then stand up nice and tall. Last one here. Great job. Let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Bring your left leg 6 inches forward. Stagger your feet and then lower down to the chair. Touch your hip to the chair, waiting for just a second and then coming back up. Again, notice that David is using his hands for support while Trisha's arms come up in front of her body to increase the demand on the back of her hips. Great work here. Go ahead and place your chair off to the side and come to a standing position in the middle of your mat. We're going to complete our lunge matrix again, except this time we're going to complete a reach. So take a step forward with your right leg and return, and then a step forward with your left leg and return. Notice that David has his hands on his hips and he's leaning his chest forward to increase the demand on the back of the hips. Trisha's completing the same exercise, but she's reaching as if she's placing an object in front of her knee. By reaching forward, we're activating the muscles in the back of our hips. Great job. Now we're going to complete our frontal plane lunges. So lunge to the right side with your right leg and to the left side with your left leg. Notice that as David goes to the right, he's leaning his chest forward and pushing his hips back. And then he goes to the left, leans his chest forward, pushes his hips back. Trisha's completing the same movement, but acting as if she's placing an object in front of her knee to increase the demand on the back of her hips. Now let's complete our rotational lunges. Rotate back to the left, and then back to the right. Lean or bring your arms forward as if you're placing an object in front of the leg you're stepping onto. By reaching forward, we're increasing the demand on the back of our hips to help stabilize our spine. Last one on the right, and last one on the left. Great work. Now we're going to complete a single leg squat matrix. Come to a standing position on your right leg, reach your left leg diagonal and back, and then come to the middle. And then come straight back and to the middle, and then diagonal to the right. Each time you reach back, bend your right leg and load your right hip. Notice that David has his hands on his hips for balance, while Trisha's completing a more advanced version by reaching her arms forward. Continue a nice controlled sequence, squatting on that right leg while reaching that left leg in opposite directions to increase the demand on that hip. Great job here. Keep going. Reach diagonal back to the left. Then squat and reach straight back. And then squat and reach diagonal to the right. Good work. One last round. Notice that David is placing his foot back down on the ground for support, while Trisha maintains her left leg elevated above the floor throughout the exercise. Nice work. Now let's come back to the center of the mat and complete that same movement on the left leg. Squat and reach that right leg out to the right. Squat and reach that right leg out back. And then squat and reach that right leg out to the other side. Continue at a nice controlled pace here. Keep your hands on your hips if you need improved balance, or reach your arms in front of your body like Trisha's doing for an advanced version of the exercise. By loading our leg in a single leg manner, we're helping improve ourselves for things such as walking, stairs, getting in and out of chairs, and other functional activities. Continue to load that hip, slightly bending that knee and hip as you go down each time, being careful not to place any extra stress on your knee or your lower back. Nice one. One last one on this leg. Straight back, and then diagonal. Good. For the modified version of this next exercise, we're going to grab a chair and hold on to it for stability. We're going to stand on our right leg and hinge at our hips, reach down as if we're grabbing an object off to the floor, and then standing tall. Notice that David keeps his right hand on the chair, keeps his right leg straight, and he's hinging just at the hips. Be careful not to arch or round your lower back. Hinge at the hip, reach down as if you're grabbing an object off the floor, and then stand back up. Notice that you're activating the muscles of your core and hip during this exercise. Great job. Now let's switch sides. We're going to stand on our left leg, keep our left leg straight, and hinge at our left hip. Reach down and then come back up. You'll notice that our models keep a flat back throughout the full exercise and are not rounding through their upper or lower back as they reach down to the floor. You may feel your legs shaking during this exercise. Just be careful to be in a safe, controlled place and don't place any extra stress on your lower back. Great job here. Go ahead and place your chair off to the side and come to a plank position on the mat. Trisha's going to grab a towel and place it underneath her knees for support. She's going to be completing the modified version in this exercise while David completes the advanced version. Bring your knees back into a full plank position and complete a push-up. Your hands will be about shoulder width apart, maybe a little wider. You're going to bend your elbows, drop your chest to the floor, and then push all the way back up into the plank position. Keep drawing your belly button towards the back of your spine and continue breathing throughout the movement. Lower back down to the floor and then push all the way up. Keep going here, lower down and then push up. Great job. You'll notice that Trisha is on her knees for this exercise completing the modified version. Make sure to tuck your toes underneath if you're completing the modified version. David's completing the advanced push-up with his legs all the way back, maintaining a nice straight line from the top of his head to his heels. Continue at a nice controlled pace, making sure not to overstress or arch through your lower back as you complete the push-ups. And lower down to the floor. Grab your towel, fold it, and place it at the top of your mat. Lay on your back with your head on the towel in a nice supported, comfortable position, knees bent, arms flat on the floor at your side. Bring your feet up into a tabletop position. Notice that David's a little lower than Trisha as she's completing a more advanced version of the exercise. Lower your right leg down to the floor and then lower your left leg down to the floor. Remember to keep your stomach activated throughout this entire exercise and slowly lower each leg down, tapping on the ground. Complete this movement at your own pace, noticing that as you continue, you're going to start to feel some fatigue in the muscles of your lower back and your abdomen. Remember to keep breathing throughout the exercise, maintain a nice controlled pace, and if you need to, rest one foot on the floor for a second, as you see David is doing, and then come back to the top. Great job here. Let's lower both feet back down to the floor for our next exercise. Walk your heels up towards your hips, and now let's push our hips up into a full bridge position. Maintain that position, march your right leg off the ground, and then march your left leg off the ground, and then lower your hips back down to the floor and rest. Good, and again, lift that hip up off the ground, march that right leg up, and then march that left leg, and then lower your hips back down to the floor. Activate your core, lift that hip into a bridge, bring that right leg up, hold, bring that left leg up, hold, and then let's lower that hip back down to the floor. Let's keep going here. Push your hips up all the way off the ground, maintaining that stomach activated, lifting one leg, lifting the other, and then lowering back down to the floor and resting. One last one here. You may feel those hips shaking. That's okay. That just means we're working the muscles we're targeting. Lift one leg, lift the other, and then lower back down and rest in the ground. Go ahead and roll over to your right side for a side plank. David's going to bend his knees and complete the modified version, while Trisha's legs are straight for the advanced version. Place your left hand on top of your hip and slowly bring your hip up off the ground and then lower. As you come up to the top, try and maintain a straight line from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. Come up to the top, hold for a second, and then lower back down to the floor. These side planks are activating the side muscles that support our spine. Lift, hold for a second, and then lower back down to the floor. Lift and hold, and then lower. Great job. Let's go ahead and flip over to the other side now. So roll onto your left side. As you notice, David is keeping both knees bent and then pushing off the ground. Great work here. So David's on his elbow, lifting his arm up off the ground. If you want an advanced version of this exercise, you can be on your hand. If not, just maintain your support on your elbow. Push your hips off the ground, hold at the top, and then lower back down. Remember to keep breathing, lifting that hip, activating the muscles surrounding your core, and then lower to the floor. Great work here. Lift and hold. You might feel your hips and arms shaking. Lower back down. Place your towel off to the side and come to a standing position in the center of your mat. Place your feet about shoulder width apart, and we're going to complete our modified Sun Salutations. Slight bend in our knees. Reach arms up overhead as we inhale. Exhale, lower arms back to the side. Slight bend. Inhale, reach a little taller. Exhale as you lower back down. Good. Inhale, reach up, hold at the top for a second, and then exhale, lower your arms back down to your side. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lower. You've now completed the nuSpine strength module.